This faith that we have that Christ rose from the dead is the greatest thing. It's the greatest thing because death bugs everybody. Nobody is happy about their own death, and nobody is happy about the death of other people, and we aren't even happy about the death of our pets, and we're not happy about the death of other animals either. You know, even hunters go out to hunt a deer or a squirrel. They're not really happy about killing that animal. Death bugs us all. And that's why we are so happy about this faith of ours that Christ rose from the dead and what it means long term for the blessing of creation. So let's get some things straight here. Romans 5:12, very, very important verse. It shows us in Romans 5:12 that death is the thing that makes us misbehave. This mortality, this mortal condition causes us to sin. This mortal condition causes us to lie, cheat, and steal, and gossip. Romans 5:12. Therefore, even as through one man sin entered into the world, and through sin death entered into the world, and thus death passed through into all mankind. It didn't say sin passed through into all mankind. It says death passed through into all mankind, on which all just happened to sin, because death passed through into all mankind. You see, not everybody sins technically. Like a little baby, 2 months old, dies. It didn't die because of sin. It died because death passed through into all mankind. And it's this death, this mortal condition, that causes us to misbehave and act crazy. And to a great degree, we're acting crazy because we're trying to avoid death or to enhance our own little life. That's what gossip is all about. We feel so insecure about things and our death condition, our mortal condition, that we have to drag other people down with our petty gossip. Death's days are numbered. And the proof, we have two proofs that death's days are numbered, and they're tied together. One proof is that Christ actually rose from the dead. He presented himself alive to the disciples. And this changes everything. This has long-range consequences. For even as through one man sin entered into the world, and through sin death entered into the world, and thus death passed through unto all mankind. It just so happens that all mankind sin. Now let's hop over to 1 Corinthians 15, our second proof that death's days are numbered. 1 Corinthians 15 is the greatest of all biblical prophecies. It's greater than anything Daniel had to prophesy. It's greater than the book of Revelation. This is a great biblical prophecy, 1 Corinthians 15, 20 through 28. Yet now Christ has been roused from among the dead. Christ has been roused from among the dead. How many are dead? All the dead are dead. And this is, can you see the vastness of this sentence? Christ has been roused from the millions of people who have died. Christ has been roused from among that vast horde. Guess what? He's the firstfruit of those who are reposing in the ground. Verse 20 again, Romans 15:20. Yet now Christ has been roused from among the vast humanity of dead. He's the first fruit. What does first fruit mean? It means it's a great indication of what's coming. That's what that phrase means. He's the first fruit of them that repose. 21. For since, in fact, through a man came death, right? Through one man, sin entered into the world, Romans 5:12. 1 Corinthians 15:21. For since, in fact, through a man came death, through a man, Jesus Christ, also comes the solution to this problem of death itself, the resurrection of the dead. And see that word dead there? I'm not going to look it up right now, but I bet that word is plural. In English, we use the word dead, D-A, dead, for both plural and singular, but I bet in the Greek it's plural. For since, in fact, through a man came death, through a man also comes the resurrection of all of the dead. Not just one little foretaste in Christ's own resurrection, but it is the foretaste of the resurrection of all. Okay? So, as a confirmation of his thought here, we go to verse 22. For even as in Adam all are dying, we understand this much. He's laying a foundation to make an argument. For even as in Adam all are dying, nobody can argue that all are dying. Here we see that it's because we're all in Adam. The seed and the tree are both, the future seeds and the future trees are all in one seed, genetically speaking. For even as in Adam, our progenitor, all are dying, thus also in Christ shall all be vivified. And guess what? All are in Christ, just as Adam was created in Christ. Colossians 1:16. All right, now verse 23. For each in his own class, the first fruit Christ. Each in his own class. What does this mean? It means Christ is the first fruit of those who are reposing. And then the second fruit is thereupon those who are Christ in his presence. So we're looking at classes of people who are going to be made alive. Okay, they're going to be vivified. For even as in Adam all are dying, thus also in Christ shall all be vivified. Yet each in his own class, the first fruit Christ. Thereupon those who are Christ, those who belong to him in this eon, in his presence when he returns. Thereafter, verse 24, the consummation of the whole subject of which we are speaking. And what is the whole subject? It's not just those who belong to Christ. The whole subject is all those who are reposing, all of the dead. That's the whole subject. Thereafter, the consummation of this whole batch of people, whenever he, Christ, may be giving up the kingdom to his God and Father, whenever he should be nullifying all sovereignty and all authority and power. So get this. He's going to nullify death. And at the same time, he nullifies sovereignty, authority, and power, because they're all kind of connected. We face the threat of death every day by evil men and by governments and by thugs. And that stuff is power. That's kind of a sovereignty. That's authority. Authority resides in the threat of death. But get this, verse 25. For he must be reigning until he should be placing all his enemies under his feet. The last enemy is being abolished. Death itself. Death's days are numbered, and I don't know why Christianity doesn't teach this. It's right here in the Bible. They somehow have it that they kind of understand that death is the wages of sin, the so-called wages of sin. The concordant version says death is the ration of sin, and the concordant Bible teachers make the argument that wages is something you earn, but ration is something you're dealt with, whether you earn it or not. And there's a difference between the words, and you should pay attention anyway. So the last enemy is being abolished, death. Now, I don't know why Christianity doesn't teach about the abolition of death. It's such a beautiful topic. But they miss it altogether, and they kind of, with their babbling, stumbling around, almost pretending to believe the Bible, they kind of teach that death is eternal and that it will never be abolished, because those who enter the wages of sin never get out, according to Christianity. So they don't believe that death will be abolished, and therefore they don't believe that rulership, authority, and power will be abolished. Sovereignty, authority, and power, they don't believe that will be abolished. They think that will go on forever. They're missing a big element here of satisfying, peace-giving truth. The last enemy being abolished is death. Death's days are numbered. It won't bother us anymore when Christ gives up his kingdom to God the Father. And we hop on down to verse 28 to see that the net result of all of this is that God may be all, and I'm going to put a comma here because I think that comma is important, that God may be all in all. Okay, repeat after me. Death's days are numbered. We can laugh at death, laugh in the face of death, and it may capture us for a while, but death's days are numbered. Therefore, even as through one man sin entered into the world, and through sin death entered into the world, and thus death passed through into all mankind. Hop over now. Yet now Christ has been roused from among the dead, the firstfruit of those who are reposing. For since, in fact, through a man came death, through a man also comes the resurrection of the dead. For even as in Adam all are dying, thus also in Christ shall all be vivified. Yet each in his own class, the firstfruit Christ, thereupon those who are Christ in his presence, thereafter the consummation. The consummation of what? Could be the consummation of the eons, but most definitely it is the consummation of vivification. Thereafter the consummation, whenever he may be giving up the kingdom to his God and Father, whenever he should be nullifying all sovereignty and all authority and power, for he must be reigning until, not forever and ever, he must be reigning until. His reign is not going to last. Christ must reign until he should be placing all his enemies under his feet. And the enemies he's just mentioned, and we'll mention the final one, are not humans, not Satan, not any living creature, but they're principalities. His enemies are sovereignty, authority, power. And the last enemy, verse 26, the last enemy is being abolished, death. That is an enemy of God. I mentioned that not even hunters are happy about killing an animal. I'm sure that God is not happy about death, but it's part of his plan and purpose for the moment, and we must see that his plan is to abolish death eventually. He's not happy about it. He wasn't happy about putting Christ on the cross, and he raised him from the dead. For he subjects all under his feet. Now, whenever he may be saying that all is subject, it's evident that it's outside of him who subjects all to him. Now, whenever all may be subjected to him, then the Son himself will also be subjected to him who subjects all to him, that God may be all, in all. Grace to you.